When we create digital resources for our audience, we want to move away from how much can I give them and into how can I make things more accessible and more digestible so they can reach their goals as soon as possible. The last several years have come with a lot of massive signature courses being created, which isn't always a bad thing. I have a signature course myself, which I absolutely love, and people have gotten tons of results from. But that's not the only option of things that we can create. Sometimes when we're trying to help our audience with these big courses, they might feel like it's too much content, get overwhelmed, and never find the solution they're looking for. So, what is the alternative to this? Well, this is where the idea of smaller learning experiences comes in. Our guest today, Alissa McDonald, is going to share all about these learning experiences, give us plenty of examples of what this could look like for you, and first steps that you can take in creating one. And if you're a TPT seller, definitely stick around because she gives a really cool way that you can create learning experiences around TPT products that you already have. Alissa is a business and marketing strategist with over 10 years of experience building and launching online businesses, especially in the education space. She spent 13 years teaching 5th grade while building her business on the side and momming 3 littles. In 2022, she founded an ed tech company called PopPD, where educators come together to share relevant classroom strategies. PopPD was named a top 200 ed tech startup last year and has over 80 classes available for teachers. I'm really excited for you to hear this conversation, so let's get started. Your podcast is a powerful tool that serves your audience and your business. But how do you manage it all, bring in new listeners, and convert those listeners into customers? That's what this show is all about. Welcome to Podcasting for Educators. I'm Sarah Whitaker, classroom teacher turned podcast manager, and I'm here to help you get the most out of your show, all while making an impact on other educators. All right. Good morning, Alissa. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks so much for being here.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I took one of your programs probably like 2 years ago now, and it helped me launch my very first my only signature course and totally changed my business. So I love following you for all kinds of marketing tips and all of that good stuff. And lately I have been hearing you talk about these learning experiences that we can create and how we can really make these more digestible for our audience, for our students. And I thought it'd be a really cool thing to talk about here on the podcast. So I'd love to jump right in and just kind of start off by having you share like exactly what a learning experience is.
Yeah, I'm so glad we're talking about this topic because I started posting about it on Instagram and it kind of blew up and people were really interested in this concept of building a learning experience, which it's interesting because I work with teachers. So you would think that we would just automatically, as we're creating an online course for our business, that we would just automatically think about how do I create the best learning experience? But there are so many decisions to be made. Like you have to figure out, where am I going to put my course videos? How am I going to teach on this topic that I know a lot about, but how am I going to break it down for somebody else? Am I going to have a community? And then we start mixing in marketing because, to be clear, marketing and building your online course are two very separate and very complicated processes. So then marketing starts to sort of take over our minds and we're like, well, how much is it going to be? Well, if I do my signature course, it's going to be this price, but then maybe I'll do like membership after, it's going to be this price. And I'll do like a mini course, it's going to be this price. That offer stuff gunks up like what could potentially be a really great learning experience. So if you take away, like peel back all the layers of marketing, peel back all the layers of technology and systems, and just think about how can I best present my ideas to a variety of different learners across a screen. So I encourage people to start with the question like, if I were putting on a professional development in real life, or I was sitting down to coffee with another teacher who's asking me to help them with whatever topic this is, what would I do? How would that look? Because I wouldn't just talk at them. I wouldn't just be a talking head, right? Like I would probably have some interactive activities and I would have them, like I do, we do, you do sort of thing. And so building a learning experience online is possible. It's a little bit trickier because obviously you have the screen in the way, but it's entirely possible if you spend some time thinking about how to make it unique.
Yeah, I love all of that. And you're so right. Like as educators, because that's the majority of people who are listening, that comes naturally to us in the classroom. But then I think just being in the online space, we think if we want to teach something or we want to create some kind of course and sell it, it has to be this like really big thing just with slides and videos, and that's our only option. And you're really showing people that there's lots of other types of options. Can you give us some examples of like what some different learning experiences might look like?
Yeah. To give a little context, I've been spending the past 2 years on a deep dive into adult learning theory, how that translates into the online space. I founded a company called Pop PD, where once I started working with educators who were creating online PD, I was like, we need one place for this all to live so that schools and teachers can access it really easily. Teachers were doing amazing online professional developments in silos. So my goal was to bring that together. It led me to this journey where I'm doing a deep dive on how to create great online learning experiences. In my research, I found that bite-sized experiences win every single time. And especially when you're talking about creating an online PD, this is a very different audience. So if you were going to teach somebody, I don't know, how to play guitar or like how to train their dog, that's one audience type. But when we're thinking about educators, first of all, we're short on time. We are probably watching this like during our prep periods or really quickly after school. We are like having to implement it the next day. And then we need feedback. So it needs to be this cycle. Bite size wins every time when it comes to that. We don't want to sit down and consume hours of content and then go try it. We need to be continuously interacting with the content. My favorite learning experience that we've tested has been a challenge. And there are, lots of different names for different learning experiences. And a challenge is really focused on action. It's bite-sized information with attached tasks. You need to do X, Y, and Z in a timeline. So now you've got bite-sized content with my action plan in a set period of time. Those things make it really easy for teachers to, let me like check out this PDF and this quick 5 to 7 minute video for this one task. Then I'm going to go do it in this amount of time. And then I can come back and do another one. And we can think outside the box with what that content looks like. I'm not somebody I really stink at pre-recording video content. It is like my nemesis. I can't be
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work and it takes like hours of time and you have to be showered and dressed. And
that's why I love podcasting because I don't like the slides and oh my gosh, it's just so much easier to just show up.
Exactly. When you have kids and stuff, recording is just like a nightmare. So we don't have to do that. Like a PDF with a video that you recorded on your phone in the same style you would record an Instagram reel is just as impactful and takes you far less time and it's easier to change. So I envision a challenge being a series of tools with short form video content, maybe walking you through, or even like a PDF ebook to supplement, and then action steps in a time period. My other favorite one, just to give you one more example, especially for TPT sellers. We know that Teachers Pay Teachers is a great solution for teachers who are looking for an immediate solution, a quick fix. I need a math activity for today. And that's awesome. But we also know that honing your craft and becoming the educator you were meant to be means also picking up on instructional strategies. So what are the notes on the side of that math activity that you personally use in your own lessons? Do you break people into small groups, kids into small groups here? Do you, I don't know, like pull something up on an anchor chart here so they have that to look at? Those like Post-it notes that you would personally put on the side of that activity if you were teaching it. What if we added that layer and turn your TPT product into a learning experience that way? So begin with the activity in mind that you already have on TPT, but think to yourself, if I were helping a teacher, if I were sitting next to a teacher who was about to implement this, what would my Post-it notes on the side be? Then think about how could you transfer that information? Could you record a quick TikTok style video? Could you actually make annotations off to the side of that PDF? Is there a way you could present the instructional strategy piece to create a learning experience with, and I like to call these toolkits. So toolkits would have the activity at the center of it or the tool with your notes or whatever, your play by play off to the side. Also an example of you. Sorry, I get like really excited about this stuff.
No,
But
I love this. Yeah.
if you're in the classroom, like take your cell phone if you can, point it at you, obviously not your kids, and take a video of you actually doing the lesson and then do like a little play by play for your audience of this is, look, notice this, look how I said this or did this. This like nuanced stuff is really hard to capture in your teaching, but it's the gold. It's the real gold. The math activity is cool, but it's replaceable. The real gold is how do I actually implement this? So toolkits are my other favorite.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love both of those examples. And as you're talking, I mean, of course, I'm like podcast obsessed. So I'm thinking, if you have a TPT resource like you're talking about, even creating like a private podcast series
Yes.
to go along with it, to like explain the reasoning behind it or give a step by step of how you would actually implement it.
Yes.
There's so many cool options, which is really fun to think about because it really is like sky's the limit in terms of how many products you can create, how many toolkits you can create, just how many of these experiences you can create for people.
Yeah. And I think if we bring marketing back into it, in like 2020 and 2021, people were buying $300, $400 signature courses because it was like a big boom of courses. People were excited to learn something. And often in the case of teachers, like we were just desperate for information on how to quickly pivot to a virtual environment. That has completely dropped off. And my theory is because some of those courses were really bad and people spent money on things that didn't give them the solution they were looking for. So they're burned. And, that's not your fault, but it's harder to sell a big signature course in 2024. I think it will continue to be because of that reason and because people didn't finish them. Even if it was good, they didn't finish them because they weren't built into these learning experiences that are meant for adults to succeed with. I think if you have a signature course that you've been trying to sell and you've been struggling, if you break it up into these smaller learning experiences and on the marketing side, put a different offer behind it, you're going to sell it much more easily.
Yeah, totally. And I'm thinking like as you're talking about these big signature courses, I think people are just getting busier. They're just getting more distracted. And now it's like as a consumer, when I see, because I'll see people marketing their courses and it's like, it's a 20 module course. And it's like, they're saying that like it's a good thing. But to me as a consumer, I'm like, I'm never going to have time to get through all of that.
Exactly.
So I know like for me and my own behaviors, and I know this is the case for so many people, I'm looking for things that can give me that immediate win, that immediate solution that I'm looking for. So a big question that I have is, I know a lot of people do have a signature course already. So if somebody is listening and they're thinking, and maybe their signature course is still doing well, but I still think this is something that we should really think about. How could they break that signature course down into smaller learning experiences? Like where could they start without completely starting from scratch?
Yeah, I love this question. Start with the piece of your signature course that in the past you have realized has really given your learners a light bulb. I'll give an example. So I have a course called Course Creators Intensive, which is about creating your course and marketing your course. And I mentioned earlier, those are two very different things. The really popular part of the course comes, and it's kind of a heftier part too, when we get to the marketing of your course. So in 2024, although I sell plenty of Course Creators Intensive, seats, I decided to peel apart some of the marketing templates that I had in there, some of the tools I had. I had a sales page template, email sequence template for launch, some launch calculators, trying to think like launch calendars with the videos to go with them. Peeled that off and made it into a toolkit and then made it an option for people to buy. I sell the toolkit individually. So I sell it all the time on my Instagram and to my email list. But also you can add it on when you're buying the rest of the course. That was an easy win. I had all the materials. I just reformatted it, chopped up the price a bit, which made Course Creators Intensive, the course, much easier for people to jump into because now that's a lower price. And if you want to add the launch toolkit on, you can, or you can buy it later down the road when you're ready. So it was just by understanding what was the part that gave people the most light bulb moments. How could I peel that away and let more people access it?
I think that that's so smart and so doable. I'm thinking of like my own course about launching a podcast. Like there are definitely pieces that I can take out of that to for those people who are like, I want to take action now. Like just give me the really juicy stuff, like a launch checklist or
Exactly. Yeah,
whatever
for
it may
me,
be.
it was like a lot of people didn't need that whole beginning part. They just needed the launch. So you're just making it more
Right.
accessible by separating it. And one other thing I want to mention is if you're new and you haven't yet created your course and you're like, what can I do to make these learning experiences more digestible? Don't start with 3 videos introducing your topic and why it's important, because people already know. If they bought your course on how to start a podcast, they're already bought in. They already literally bought into the solution. So don't bother with that. I know you feel it's important for people to have the why understanding, but I would rather you did a 2-minute intro video to your course that was like, congratulations on being here. You did the right thing. You already know podcasting is a great tool for your business. Now let's dive in. Because people are going to skip those videos anyway. It's a great way
Yes.
to peel back on the time. Like, let's just, if you have those, like, go just delete them and re-record to your first 2 to 3 minutes to get people pumped and excited and help them move through that beginning content.
Yes. I actually heard somebody talked about this, I don't know, last year or something. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so true. I think it's like natural for us to start there, but it's so unnecessary because just like you said, people already bought the thing. They already know they want to do it. So just jump right in.
Exactly. Exactly.
I have a quick question about something you were talking about before. You were talking about doing challenges as a type of learning experience. Do those need to be something that you're like running live?
Yeah. So there are 2 schools of thought on live. And when I started Pop PD and started really researching, live cohorts, one of the problems about running anything live is we're teachers. We're teaching for the majority of the day and we're in a million different time zones. It's really hard for us to do something synchronously with a group of teachers around the world. Yet there's something really cool about doing something synchronously with teachers around the world. How do we capture that live feeling without actually having a bunch of live calls? If you've done live calls, everybody comes to the first one. Some people come to the second one. Nobody comes to the third one. And then you're literally talking
100%.
to crickets. Yeah. And it's nobody's fault. It's just really hard. We're teachers. We need asynchronous stuff too. So I love to combine asynchronous with synchronous and giving that feeling of live. For example, if I had a challenge, I would have a bunch of materials that were static, that were living in, my course platform. And then I would run cohorts of that. So I do this with Course Creators Intensive to keep using that as the example. You can join anytime. The material is paced. So it's 8 weeks of material and there are 8 weeks worth of tasks to go with it. But I run a live cohort of it a couple times a year. And by live, I mean, there's a community, it's open all the time. But during these cohorts, like we had one in January, I'm posting weekly to help them move through the content. Not more content. You don't have to give people more. You just need to help them get through the existing content. Challenging them, I'm reminding them, I'm asking them questions, and I go live twice in the 8 weeks. It doesn't have to be every week. It doesn't have to be every month till the end of time. Just during that 8-week sprint, I'm going to go live a couple times, push you forward, answer your questions, walk you through some of the content. We're doing this together. So it's a nice way to combine both.
Yeah, that's a good balance for sure. And something you just said is gold, which is like people don't need more and more and more content. They need that accountability and that kind of like guidance to push through and actually accomplish what they came to you for.
Yeah, exactly.
So the different learning experiences that you've given examples for, are you able to give us like a ballpark of what you might price these things at? Because I would imagine they're like, a lower price than a typical course.
This is the number one question I get. And there are so many determining. So we're talking now about offers.
Yeah.
But an offer is really the value that you've created in that learning experience. It's made up of a lot of different things. It's made up of not the length of the course or how many videos you have. That's not what makes your course valuable, like you just mentioned. What makes your learning experience valuable is like, how quickly can I get my solution? I obviously am purchasing this because I have a problem. How quickly can you give me the solution? Nobody wants a million videos. They want the solution. So it depends. How quickly can you get them the solution? If it's 8 weeks and you give them the support they need, and most people are going to come out of the other side with that solution, then you've got something really valuable. I could give you a number like it should be $40 or it should be $400, but I don't hold the answer as to what price point it should be. So there are a couple considerations I want you to think about. One is the value, what we just talked about. How quickly can you get them the result? Two, how in demand is your topic? If it is something like, just to give an example, if it's, I just talked about this in my email, but I went on vacation last week and there was a poolside cabana that was selling like sunscreen, right? And I'm from New York and I was burning up quickly and forgot my sunscreen. I'll literally pay you $80 for that sunscreen.
Yes.
It's a big problem. It's painful. Literally, it is pressing and I need it now. Okay, great. You can have a higher price. You look at your competitors, and I know that's hard, but like you do need to understand, like don't go down a spiral with it, but you do need to understand what else is out there. And I'm not saying undercut your competitors, but look at what are the price points that people have to choose from and what is the value assigned to those price points and where do I fit in there? Look at people with similar learning experiences in different niches. What are they charging? And does it appear that they're selling? Are people engaging with it? And then test it. It's an experiment. Throw a price out there. Do your thing live. Do not pre-record all the videos. Put the whole thing together and then sell it. Try to pre-sell it if you can so that you have some security that your price that you picked is correct. Run it live. Do it in person or just kind of make it up as you go so that you're not putting a ton of time in ahead and then you'll get the answer you need. The only way to get an answer about a price is to have somebody take out their wallet and pay for it.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Mic drop. So true. You have to just be willing to try and be flexible. And it's all an experiment, especially the first couple times that you do it.
Yeah. And I think one thing I forgot there is consider your audience. So we're selling to teachers. This is a whole other topic, but don't go at it like, oh, I should price this really low because teachers don't have any money. Although that's, that's really ethical of you. That's great. But I don't want you to undervalue yourself because schools have money. Schools have lots of money. That's why I started Pop PD. It's like, could we just start funneling the school money toward these things rather than having teachers pay for it themselves? I know that's a tricky topic, but instead of thinking, okay, I got to price this really low so teachers can buy it, think, how can I empower teachers to get the funding from their school to buy this? Can I give them a letter they can share with their admin? Can I give them a one-pager that will be more geared toward their school? Can I help walk them through the potential steps of getting into contact with somebody at their school to ask for the funds? It's not going to work 100% of the time, but I think I would rather you try to empower your teachers to get the money from the place that should be paying for it than lower the price and just hope for the best.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad that you brought that up. I have several clients who will, talk about their resources on their podcast, and a lot of them have like a templated letter that they provide to their listeners that they can kind of just plug and play, fill in, hand to their admin to ask for these funds. And I think that's probably something that not enough people are doing, and like making clear to their audience that this is an option and it's worth a shot to at least ask for the funding, because a lot of times it will be a yes. So I think that's something important to consider for sure. So if somebody, just to kind of like start wrapping up here, you've given us so much good information and I know my wheels are turning. Again, like I said earlier, I just think this is a really fun conversation because there's just so much opportunity, and it just shows how you can, in a lot of cases, take what you already have too and turn them and just maybe tweak them a little bit and make them even more accessible for your audience. So to kind of leave people today, what would be maybe like a first step that somebody could take if they are wanting to try creating one of these more digestible learning experiences?
I would run an experiment. I would take a look at what you already have, whether that's in an existing course or maybe it's a TPT product. Start with your best sellers or like your most popular, the thing that like the thing that people are like, oh my gosh, yes, that's so amazing. And then think about how you could remix it. How could you, and go back to that instructional strategy question for a lot of you as educators, how can I take this and really make it so that a teacher can turn around and do it successfully tomorrow, this week, next week, and then test it. So this doesn't have to be complicated. Pull up Notion, pull up a Google Doc, start typing out what that learning experience could look like, and then share it with people. Don't go make the learning experience. Go give it to your audience and say, pre-sell it or get on a waiting list for this thing. And then if you get people on the waiting list, definitely if you get people to buy it, you have the validation you need to move forward. Keep it light, keep it simple, and then sell it to your beta group. Give them maybe some additional support or some incentive for being like a founding person or beta person to try this learning experience. Go through it with them live, get feedback on that learning experience, like do it together so that you can get the feedback you need to then remix it again and put sort of a final version out there. But the really cool thing about these smaller learning experiences, they sell better on Evergreen. So once you've perfected that learning experience, then you can put it on Evergreen and you can have it available all the time. It's going to be much easier to sell and not need as much like live launching as a larger priced product.
Love it. And we all love to hear advice on what's easier to sell on Evergreen. So
100%.
Yes. And that's I actually learned that from you when I first started creating my resources, is to do that pre-sell and create that wait list, get that validation that yes, people are buying, and then kind of create as you go. That was a really, really good decision. It made the process a lot easier. Awesome, Alissa. Well, thank you so much for everything today. Can you tell everybody, if they're not already familiar with you, where they can find you online?
Yeah. So I'd love to connect on Instagram. Feel free to send me a DM. I also love reality TV. So I'd love to talk about whatever reality TV show is on. Feel free to DM me. Alissa A. McDonald on Instagram. My website, if you are looking for marketing support or course creation support, whether that's in the form of a learning experience or a toolkit, or even I have services, you can go to teacherhustleuniversity.com. And then I would love for you to try out Pop PD. It is, a new platform. We're always improving it. We're looking for feedback and it's free. So go and try it out. It's poppd.co. It's a collection of professional development courses for other educators. And we're building out learning tools that are making it easier for you to create these experiences. For example, we have a challenge template. You can just plug your stuff in and have a challenge ready to go with annotations off to the side of your resources and places for you to sort of earmark your video. Like, let's say you're at the 2-minute mark, you want to leave an annotation, you can do that. So lots of different things that we're experimenting with and would love to get your feedback. So poppd.co, you can sign up for free and start playing around with it.
That is so awesome. I love that you have all of that available for people. Definitely go check that out. I will put all of that in the show notes. And speaking of reality TV, today, at the time of this recording, there's new Love is Blind episodes out today.
I can't wait. Is it out like right now, or do I have to wait till 7 tonight? I haven't checked yet.
I haven't checked yet either. I was kind of hoping they're already available. Hold on.
There goes my whole workday if they are.
I'm literally going to check right now.
I can't wait. But at the time of this recording, I'm also stuck on Risa Tisa on TikTok. Have you done that yet? There goes your whole night if you haven't.
Oh, no. Wait, what did you just say?
Risa Tisa on TikTok. Okay.
No.
It's a reality show, basically, on TikTok. This woman is the best storyteller. She has a 50-part series it's called Who TF Did I Marry? And it's basically like a catfish episode, but very long. I've been watching it every night, streaming it to my TV. My husband's been watching it. It is so wild. You're going to love it. So go.
Oh my God. Wait, spell that out for me. What is it?
REESA.
Okay.
TEESA.
Okay. Well, I know what I'll be doing for the rest of the day. Not that I don't have a million other things to do.
Yeah, really.
And it doesn't look like episodes are up yet. So maybe we do have to wait until tonight. But
all right, I guess we'll get some work done today.
A few more hours. Yeah, I know. Probably for the best. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Alissa, thank you so, so much. This was a lot of fun. And I know I learned a lot. So thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks again to Alissa for sharing all about learning experiences. I hope this gives you some really good ideas on how you could try this in your business. And if you're a podcaster looking for ways to improve and grow your show, I have several smaller resources that you can get through quickly and take action on right away. You can check those out at podcastingforeducators.com. Thanks so much for being here today, and I'll catch you here next week. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. To keep this conversation going, connect with me on Instagram at Podcasting for Educators. I'm always looking for an excuse to talk about podcasting. If you're looking for support in launching, managing, or growing your podcast, check out my online course, the Podcasting for Educators Prep School, at podcastingforeducators.com/prep school. I'll see you here next time.